What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to Off the Record with k.Jachimowicz. It's January 30th, and this is episode 15. And tonight I'm going to be talking about last night's American Airlines Flight 5342 incident and crash that unfortunately took place at Ronald Reagan National Airport in Washington, D.C. So, this American Airlines passenger flight, or regional jet, was operated by PSA Airlines departing from Wichita Dwight Eisenhower National Airport with 60 passengers and 4 crew members. As the flight approaches Ronald Reagan National Airport, it collides mid-air with a U.S. Army Sikorsky UH-60 Black Hawk helicopter over the Potomac River at approximately 8:48 p.m. Eastern Time. The collision results in both aircrafts crashing in the river with no survivors expected. So to me, looking at the images, it looks like a yacht got exploded in the middle of the oceans. And I'm just going to run through some points really quick that I'm thinking about before I get way deeper. It looks like the plane looks like it was split in 2 or 3 pieces, which I'm going to get to more. I personally just immediately gut feeling believe that it was done over freezing waters to maximize human suffering for whatever reason if there was foul play involved. And this is just my thoughts and random things going on in my mind. These aren't guaranteed factual statements. I've been really watching this one like a maniac and trying to harvest all the information I can as rapidly as possible for its black hole off the internet. But I'm also watching the flight path maps last night, and I'm not an aviation expert whatsoever, so I'm not going to pretend I am. And if I sound like an idiot, feel free to let me know. It's fine. But it appeared that the helicopter was almost tracking the plane to a certain extent 1 or 2 times before the crash. It also was just going to certain spots and just spinning in a perfect circle for minutes and minutes and minutes at a time, repeatedly, like dizzyingly. I don't know if that's some normal time-killing routine procedure for training, but it doesn't seem like something that would normally be going on for any sensible reason in my mind. And then also, if you watch that same flight path map video, or whatever you want to call that, it kind of seems, and obviously there's differences in altitudes and etc. and other metrics that affect all of this, but it really kind of looked like the helicopter took a absolute last second turn for like a direct hit into the side of the passenger plane. And that's just speculation, obviously. I like I said, I'm not an aviation expert, but I'm just talking about what I'm seeing with my own 2 eyes. So like I said, the passenger jet was flying from Wichita, Kansas, and the Army helicopter was supposedly performing a training exercise, according to the press, the AP specifically. So they've already recovered more than 24 bodies or more from the scene as of this evening, I believe. And among the victims, and this is where things start getting weird, among the victims are Russian figure skaters Evgenia Shishkova and Vadim Naumov. And they were married and won a pairs world championship in 1994, the AP said, adding that the couple was coming from the 2025 U.S. Figure Skating Championships, which ended Sunday in Wichita. And it's crazy. My fiance was literally just like all into this, watching this, because she actually used to skate herself years ago, and that was one of her life dreams, actually. So there were 64 passengers and crews aboard American Airlines Flight 5342. And like I said, this is where it all gets weird. It's a bunch of, not royal, but like you got a bunch of like talented, or maybe you could call them prestigious Americans and Russians on this regional jet coming from a, national figure skating championship, and a military helicopter just collides into it like less than 60 seconds before it's about to touch ground. That just seems way too ridiculous to be a training accident, which we'll get deeper into also with the skill level of these people and etc. And there's other angles to explore there too with political pressure. I really don't know, but we'll go farther. So there were supposedly three military members aboard the U.S. Army Black Hawk helicopter. The crash happened approximately 9 p.m. Eastern Time and happened less than 4 miles south of the U.S. Capitol and the White House. The FAA and National Transportation Safety Board initiated investigations to determine the cause of the collision. Transportation Secretary Sean Duffy states the crash was absolutely preventable, indicating potential lapses in protocol or communication. So, obviously, a situation like this every time now just immediately spurs conspiracy theories because there's no honest truth anywhere, and you can't trust all these media companies and platforms have obliterated any level of trust they could have ever had, and that could all be by design also, to be honest, purposely. I don't trust a word that comes out of anything anymore. I'm skeptical of every single thing. There's it doesn't end. It's like a never ending, just searing through everything process. But anyways, so there's the one or two that are really getting my head going. So there was this rumor circulating last night about how the crash's location near DC led to conjecture about its closeness to one of the CIA headquarters and etc. But the one that's really getting my mind going is one of the transponders supposedly turned on or specifically reported at an address in Virginia, which I'm not going to say because I don't feel like getting in trouble for doxing somebody if this is incorrect. But there's this property in Virginia, and apparently this whole street or town is practically all owned by Saudi embassy royalty. And this specific address that the transponder reported from is literally listed online as owned by Saudi embassy royalty or whatever. So the official narrative conclusion from the mainstream is that the tragic collision between American Airlines Flight 5342 and the U.S. Army Black Hawk helicopter has left many questions unanswered as investigations by the FAA and NTSB continue, blah, 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 blah. So they're basically telling you it's just, oh yeah, we don't know. So you got to realize these are Army VIP copters, basically. These things can bank on a dime, avoid other aircrafts in seconds, and these pilots and etc. are some of the most intelligent people probably on Earth. And there's people that seem to think it appeared to accelerate and target the commercial flight. There's disparities in that because other people believe that might not be the case and that any of the data coming from right around then could be incorrect because of the crash and etc., which completely makes sense. But it's just something to consider. And then also people on X are bringing up how this whole other theory about how supposedly the Navy may have been involved in taking down some TWA flight 800, and then it was covered up by the FBI, and people are talking about on X how they were there and they're having flashbacks to that. And so I went and I looked up what this was all about, went down this rabbit hole. So the TWA flight 800 was a Boeing 747-100 that exploded and crashed into the Atlantic Ocean. Odd coincidence. It's like, how are all these things are like the same playbook, off the coast of Long Island, New York on July 17th, 1996. Unfortunately, ending the lives of all 230 people on board. Jeez. The official investigation concluded that the cause was a fuel tank explosion due to an electrical short circuit. However, the disaster has been the subject of numerous conspiracy theories, many of which claim the government covered up the true cause. And I never used to explore this stuff, and I'm not, like I said, this is just me exploring stuff. I'm not making factual claims. Don't come after me. I'm having a conversation. But my point is, I never used to explore this stuff, and now, after some of the things I've experienced, I'm realizing that, like I said in the last episode, people don't believe anything but what billionaires or billion-dollar media companies tell them, and like they don't trust their like neighbors. And what I'm also really noticing, like even looking back to 9/11 videos and stuff, is people don't believe victims at all from like disasters. It's like crazy as hell. So you got like people who are at these situations running around saying like, I think this happened, there was this sketchy thing going on, and then you got like the whole masses of the country just watching like some mainstream channel saying, oh no, screw you, like this is what happened, I know because I watched freaking Don Lemon or whoever the guy of the week is. Like it's insane, seriously. So the official explanation for this TWA flight was supposedly, after a 4-year investigation, the National Transportation Safety Board concludes that a short circuit likely caused the electrical spark in the center wing fuel tank. The tank inflamed flammable fuel vapors, which ignited, and then that ripped apart the aircraft, causing it to break up midair. Despite that explanation, many skeptics point out the inconsistencies leading to many conspiracy theories. And I'll briefly list these conspiracy theories, but one is that there was like a missile involved. One of the most popular theories suggests the TWA was taken down by a missile, either accidentally by the Navy or as some attack by some other foreign, or I don't know. Over 200 witnesses reported seeing a streak of light rising toward the plane before it went down and everything. Some claimed it looked like a missile or rocket. I don't know. Multiple U.S. Navy vessels were conducting exercises in this area. Some theorists believe a missile was mistakenly fired and the government covered it up. The FBI and NTSB strongly denied this claim, saying no missile fragments were found. And some people also believe this happened around some people believe that this was some sort of cover-up from a missile strike to avoid public panic because of the 93 World Trade Center attack, heightening fears of terror. Which is also so weird, because if you go back and look at that, Trump literally like predicted on MSNBC that something was going to happen to the World Trade Center. It's literally on YouTube. He says like, yeah, it's really weird. So, there's others that believe there was some mid-air collision with this. Think about this. Some people have theories from this TWA 800 flight that there was a mid-air collision and that it was covered up. People believe that there was CIA and FBI manipulation. That this is going farther than I'm even believing, but. And then this I could definitely get with. People claimed that there were aircraft design flaws covered up, that Boeing and the airline industry had financial motives to blame an electrical failure rather than some structural defects. And wasn't it Boeing that just had like a dozen whistleblowers just unalive themselves over the past couple of years, guys? Like, we just forgetting about everything? Like, so the aftermath of that was the NTSB issued new safety regulations for fuel tanks, including better insulation and inert gas systems to prevent explosions. Some former investigators still doubt the official story. And that's one of the most controversial air disasters in history. And so now let's get to this whole like Saudi and like it almost seems like a whole intertwined long-term story behind the scenes in my natural gut reading of all this. But I'm a massive skeptic too, so I could be getting too far. I don't know. You feel free to tell me what you think about my take and your take. I'm open to anything about anything, honestly. So this was supposedly a PAT-25, people were claiming, which means the helicopter may have been on some sort of priority mission, possibly involving some high-ranking officials, which has added to the speculation of intentional targeting potentially. I'm not saying that's the case, I'm just speculating. So like I said, there was the address that I mentioned, and I didn't say the address, but there's an address in Virginia. Like I said, I'm not going to say the address because I'm not trying to dox anyone if this is incorrect. But this address online, on the books, is owned by Saudi Arabian Royal Embassy. Does this raise anyone else's alarm bells? This brings me back to the Vegas festival situation immediately, personally, because the Vegas festival attack, there was a whole Saudi conspiracy angle where one of the Saudi princes, I can't remember the name, like Al Tawid or something was the last name, I think, had rented the top 3 floors or something, or 3 or 6 floors of the Mandalay Bay. And those top 6 floors, I believe, are actually owned by a different company or corporation. I don't remember exactly who off top. And then there was also footage of him plain clothes, like in a disguise almost, being walked through by the SWAT team. So I'm just sitting here like, I feel like there's some weird shadow war going on behind the scenes involving Saudi and Trump or something. I really don't know. And you also don't forget, this happened as the plane was probably less than 60 seconds from landing. Just imagine you're on the way from a trip, from a sports event that you participated in. You know, you're getting back home. You're 30 seconds from touching ground, and then boom. Like, literally just imagine the insanity of that. And so there's U.S. and foreign, mainly Russian champions, figure skaters on this flight. There's rumors that the transponder is reporting from around the CIA HQ and specifically a Saudi-owned property and area. And so another thing I wanted to get into is this guy, Zach Voorhees, came out and also just straight up said that he thinks that this was deliberate as well. And Zach Voorhees is a former Google engineer who became a whistleblower after he leaked internal Google documents to the public in 2019. He claimed that Google was manipulating search algorithms to suppress certain viewpoints and censor political content. His revelations added fuel to concerns that big tech companies, particularly Google, were influencing political narratives and controlling the flow of information. So what did Voorhees whistleblow about? His key claims revolved around Google's censorship tactics, AI bias, and algorithmic suppression of specific viewpoints. Some of the main issues he exposed included Google's machine learning fairness program. Voorhees leaked internal documents showing how Google used AI to prioritize certain news sources over others. He claimed that Google manipulated search rankings to bury conservative and alternative media outlets while boosting mainstream narratives. He revealed how Google blacklists, how they had a news blacklist that prevents certain websites from appearing in Google News or suggested searches. And also, this is all definitely bought and paid. Like, you want the top Google, like, this is all a scheme. Everything you fucking look at is a bought and paid scheme to push you one way or another. That sounds like a simple, like, all-encompassing conspiracy, but it's like the fucking unfortunate truth of reality. It's like, it bites, it's painful, it sucks. But, like, you have to realize it or you're fucking gonna get left in the dark on reality. Like, I don't know, but I'm just rambling now. But, so he revealed that Google had the news blacklist, and how all these independent and also right-leaning websites are allegedly flagged, reducing visibility. He exposed the election influence and political censorship. He claimed Google was interfering in elections by hiding certain political candidates from search results. He cited that Google manipulated search results in ways that benefited global agendas. He argued Google shifted from their, quote, "don't be evil" campaign to information control. He argued Google shifted from that early motto, "don't be evil," to actively controlling public perception through data and artificial intelligence. He claimed Google was shaping public opinion on controversial topics by curating what people would see and what was suppressed. And now, why was he critical of Google Earth? This gets weird too. Though most of his whistleblowing focused on Google search and YouTube, Voorhees also criticized Google Earth in the context of geospatial censorship and data manipulation. Censorship of certain locations. He suggested that Google Earth blurred or altered images of certain locations, particularly military bases, secret installations, and politically sensitive sites. There were claims that certain disasters or attacks were downplayed or misrepresented by modifying satellite imagery. I don't deny that as a possibility at all. They were obfuscating the plane numbers and call signs of the freaking Vegas attack. So what makes you think they're not lying about every last thing? They're lying about the meta things you could even imagine, because they have to stay ahead of you, because we're getting so fast that they don't even know what the fuck to do now. Manipulation of satellite data. Voorhees, along with other tech skeptics, suggested that Google Earth was capable of altering timelines and masking evidence. Some believe that Google's satellite imagery could be used to hide real-time events or erase controversial incidents from public view. Ties to government and intelligence agencies. He implied that Google Earth's partnerships with government agencies like the CIA and NSA meant it could be used as a tool for surveillance and information warfare. This ties into broader concerns that Google is not just a private company, but a tech arm of intelligence agencies. So what happened to Zach Voorhees? After going public in 2019, Voorhees claimed he was harassed and threatened, and that Google even called the police on him for a wellness check. Sound familiar? People do this shit to me, literally. He later co-authored a book, Google Leaks, a whistleblower's expose of big tech censorship. He remains a vocal critic of Google and big tech, frequently speaking out against censorship, AI bias, and digital authoritarianism. Zach Voorhees' whistleblowing added credibility to concerns that Google is not a neutral platform but a gatekeeper of information. His criticism of Google Earth fits into a larger narrative of digital control, suggesting that big tech's influence extends beyond search engines into surveillance and data manipulation. Obviously. So Trump came out today and tried to, I don't know if I want to call it political spin. He's just being tough on the reporters, I feel like, but basically tried to blame it on Biden just hiring people not based on talent or merit, and people are spinning that every which way and whatever. Who even cares? It doesn't matter because the disaster already happened. But I honestly did find it kind of comical, and one of the reporters asked him are you going to the site? And he literally responds to her, he's like, what, you want me to go swimming in the water? It's and I know it's a kind of tone deaf response, but it's also obviously he's going to go to the site, but do you expect the president to hop in the water and start picking out metal debris? I mean, it's not going to happen. So I don't know what people are kind of thinking there, but at the same time, I hear you. I hear you. I also, I may have already said this, but I do think if this was deliberate, I think it was probably done over water, purposely freezing water to maximize human suffering or to make the recovery effort significantly more challenging, and other things too. So it could be evidence disposal. Water crashes make forensic analysis much harder. Wreckage and bodies are harder to recover. Black boxes can get completely damaged or lost. Fuel leaks and water currents can alter or erase crucial evidence. If the helicopter was carrying classified cargo or personnel, crashing into water could help prevent leaks, literally and figuratively. So if it was an intentional mid-air event, Doing it over this river reduces the risk of a large-scale ground casualty and witnesses capturing extremely clear footage and being in close proximity to it, like investigating it practically. A crash over downtown DC could have struck much more sensitive areas, etc., and caused more scrutiny. So the Black Hawk helicopter involved was purely military, not a civilian aircraft. I mean, the proximity to, like, it obviously raises questions like who's on board and, you know, who was the person that, if this was deliberate, who was the person who's being targeted? Or is this a false flag for something else to create fear, create some international conflict? I'm not sure yet. So what's next is, I believe they found one of the black boxes. I've not had a chance to look into all the information on if they found any good information from that yet. I know some crew communications have been released, but it didn't seem like they were extremely revealing of anything major. And I'm not sure. Let me double check if the identities of the people on the Black Hawk were revealed yet. I know the pilots of the American Airlines were revealed, but I'm not sure if the people manning the Black Hawk were revealed yet, and they might not be for sensitive reasons or something. I have no idea, but yeah, I can't seem to find names on that on an immediate basis, but so that's probably going to be a bit still. But and so I'm also thinking too, it just came to my mind. There was also one of the greatest aviation mysteries of all time was March 8th, 2014, a Boeing 777-200ER disappears while flying from Kuala Lumpur, Malaysia to Beijing, China. Despite one of the largest and most expensive search efforts in history, the plane has never been fully recovered, and its disappearance has fueled countless theories, conspiracies, and cover-up suspicions. And the reason I bring this one up is because this one also vanished over water. And I'm not saying that this one yesterday vanished, but I'm just saying there's multiple cases now of planes being taken down or disappearing entirely over the water. Like, that's not a fucking coincidence, and there's a reason this shit is happening. Like, things don't just fucking happen for absolutely no reason. So with that one, after years of analysis, officials concluded that MH370 likely ran out of fuel and crashed into the southern Indian Ocean. This search was based on satellite pings, which tracked the aircraft's last possible location. But like the way I'm still thinking about how they were obfuscating the Vegas call signs, and I'm like, they're probably obfuscating anything they need to with aircraft or sensitive info, so you can't know. And so there's theories that the pilot did it. There's theories that it was a hijack or military cover-up, this MH371. There's theories that it was passengers or something that were wanted eliminated from some Texas-based company. There's theories that it never crashed and the plane was hidden and diverted. I mean, I haven't had enough time to even deep dive into this one recently. I should probably do a whole episode on this one separately because this is a crazy one. But I just wanted to bring up how it's interesting to me how there's all these patterns going on with all these events in all different genres of these events, like the plane crashes, the shootings, the blow up the building, whatever it is. There's patterns in each of them that are happening consistently over the decades. And so, yeah, I mean, if it is intentional, over the water is probably a perfect place for a covert operation. I mean, how are you going to figure anything out after? And it's the recovery effort's so difficult. It's freezing water. I mean, everything's just moving. It's like almost an impossible effort. And so what was this Black Hawk doing anyway? So they're just trying to say the official story was that it's just doing a routine nighttime training with all its lights off, like in the path of a landing passenger plane that has all these talented figure skaters on it and Russian champions. Come on, dude. I don't believe this shit for a goddamn second, bro. Sorry. Not sorry. And yeah, now I'm about to just start rambling in a straight conspiracy land now. Fuck it, bro. So if there's this whole thing going on with the Saudi thing potentially going all the way back to the Vegas festival with like this little shadow war between, I don't know, Trump and the Saudi. I really can't even tell exactly what's going on there yet. And then you have this Black Hawk now helicopter that pings at the exact address of a Saudi royalty embassy's property that also oddly has all of its property taxes, believe, paid off. Hold on, let me find that for you. The property taxes have been paid on it since 1987. I don't know if that's just because these people are ultra mega rich, but the whole street is a private drive. It's at the end of a cul-de-sac about a half mile west of the CIA headquarters at Langley, I believe. Don't quote me on that because I'm not a fucking expert on everything in the world, but so was this flight a target for some reason? Like, was someone on it a threat, a whistleblower, a defector, someone with leaked intelligence? There's also a crazy ass angle about how who is it who makes these planes, like Sikorsky or something? Hold up. Yeah, so to my own surprise, I was actually right. UH-60 Blackhawks are manufactured by Sikorsky, a subsidiary of aerospace and defense giant Lockheed Martin. They've built more than 5,000 of them for 36 countries. But there's this whole weird angle that they've been advertising these as having autonomous technologies that allow them to fly without a pilot entirely. These technologies are part of the ALIAS Air Crew Labor and Cockpit Automation System project, a collaboration between Sikorsky and the Defense Advanced Research Projects Agency, DARPA. So it's like a Sikorsky matrix technology, and it provides assistance when flying in low visibility or without communication, as described as a virtual pilot. So they've done demonstrations of this before, and I don't know, my mind just naturally goes to like, could this have been a test run or something? And I wouldn't put it past these guys making up names of people, and I'm not trying to go there and get myself in trouble. I'm just saying I wouldn't put anything past the government or any of these agencies or anything. And I'm not saying that's the fact. I'm just thinking about shit. And yeah, I mean, you got to think there has to be evidence being contained before the public got to it here. And they're actively like deleting websites and like scrubbing sites that have to do with that Saudi angle that I'm telling you guys. So, and maybe that's because it is incorrect, or maybe it's because it is wildly too close to the fucking sun, if you know what I'm saying. So things to look for, basically. Who were all the passengers on the crew? Or sorry, who were all the passengers and crew on the Black Hawk? What exactly is on, if they're found and available, the black box recordings? And do initial witnesses conflict official stories? Are government agencies restricting access to evidence? And it's also like, there like practically aren't any witnesses because this is done over the water and everyone passed away. And seriously, RIP to all these people because this is like such a fucked up situation. But what are any of us supposed to do? You know, it's like this is out of all our hands. I mean, it definitely raises more questions than answers. Was it truly an accident? Was something larger at play? I'm going to keep looking into it for a bit. And so one more thing I wanted to look at was the weather's role in the DC airplane collision recovery efforts. So the body of the plane ended up in 3 different pieces, upside down in waist-deep water. No survivors. Gusty winds were present in the hours following the crash, which may have complicated initial search and rescue efforts. The real challenge seemed to be with the frigid Potomac River, which both aircrafts plunged into following the crash. Water temperatures were barely above freezing, and officials said large ice chunks were floating down the river, so divers had to navigate those as they searched for the victims. There were 64 passengers and crew aboard, including several athletes, coaches, and family members affiliated with U.S. figure skating. 3 military members were aboard the U.S. Army Black Hawk helicopter. So we got 67 people passed away, I think they said. 64 on the passenger plane and 3 on the helicopter. And we still don't know the names of the helicopter people as far as I can see. Even, and I know Trump might not be doing all his own posts, but he does some of them, I mean. And like that's shown on video, which could also be a psyop in itself. I have no clue. But like I'm aware billionaires aren't writing tweets all day. I'm not a moron. But he posted himself on his account, the President of the United States, that he... Let me find exactly what the hell this dude said. You know what? I'm not just writing bullshit. Or saying bullshit, excuse me. Where's this guy? Also, I'm just rambling now. I think I'm about to get verified on X and just start being like a journalist on there. Like, for real. I went to school for journalism. I feel like I could be good at this investigative stuff. And I get really into this. And I'm like a fighter about it. Like I saw they announced that whole podcasting thing for the White House. And I know that's all probably like planned ahead and they already got everybody in the bag for who's going to be doing that. But I still think that's cool. And I feel like it's almost inevitable that there's going to be a huge shift over time in how that type of media information travels. And I mean, they might already know exactly what's going to happen with that. They might have a plan. They probably do. The ruling class. I don't know. But so Trump's tweet about Truth Social post about this last night. Oh, come on. The hell, damn, I already lost this shit. Oh my gosh. My bad, y'all. Hold on. Okay, my bad for keeping y'all waiting for like a whole minute or two. Donald Trump, the president of our country, posts on Truth Social last night, his app. The airplane was on a perfect and routine line of approach to the airport. The helicopter was going straight at the airplane for an extended period of time. It was a clear night. The lights on the plane were blazing. Why didn't the helicopter go up or down or turn? Why didn't the control tower tell the helicopter what to do instead of asking if they saw the plane? This is a bad situation that looks like it should have been prevented. Not good. And this sentiment has been echoed by others, including one seasoned Black Hawk pilot who basically echoed the exact same thing. Lieutenant Colonel Darren Gaub, who flew Black Hawk helicopters like the one involved. He said anything's on the table when it comes to explaining the crash. Why didn't the pilot turn? Why didn't he even slow down? Was this person's quote. And and basically just said he would like to know what the answer is to why this pilot or helicopter didn't deviate from the course at all, speed or altitude. And then there's also like the air traffic control angle, which Trump was definitely leaning in on and kind of blaming it on the whole, like he was going the whole diversity, like higher route, which I don't know was the best thing to say, whatever. But I don't think I think he's saying that as like, we can't hire people for no fucking reason, like, or else crazy shit can happen. I don't think, like, he's just a blunt dude. Like, he's not worried about the fucking, like, feelings aspect of this shit, and he shouldn't be as a leader, in my opinion. But yeah, so there's the whole, air controller angle where people also believe that it had to do with the air controller, and people on the left side are trying to spin it and say, oh my god, like this is all Trump's fault because he was trying to gut like the TSA or whoever, the FAA, whatever the hell he was, the executive orders he signed. It's like, that doesn't all take place over the course of like 4 days, guys. Like, they don't train aviation people in like 3 hours. This is like a serious operation. This is not, like child's play. And so this person also mentions how at certain altitudes you can have a very difficult time differentiating between an aircraft with its lights on and street lights, car lights, etc. And also said that due to their age, Black Hawk helicopters are not typically equipped with black box flight recorders. I don't know if that's the truth in this case, but that definitely means it's going to be up to external sources to just piece the whole thing together, which is not going to be simple whatsoever. So rest in peace to the victims there, man. That's absolutely brutal. So I guess tonight, so some more information's come out that I missed a little bit ago. Around 9 p.m. tonight, cockpit voice and flight data recorders were recovered from the plane. 2 Chinese nationals were among the victims. So yeah, apparently the NTSB recovered the cockpit voice recorder and flight data and are evaluating them now at their labs. And the Chinese embassy confirmed that 2 victims were part of the crash. And yeah, it's not good. And it really seems like, I hate to say it, but it kind of seems like there's blatant, violent operations being run on the public. Like the general citizens. And it kind of seems like it's coming from the deep state because Trump exists. And you can tell me I'm talking out of my goddamn ass all you want. I don't care. This podcast is my space to come talk my shit and say what I'm thinking without getting freaking banned on every app and beaten to hell by all these fucking systems. But I just can't help but think that that's what this all is. I mean, we got multiple attempts on Trump leading up to the inauguration, including one of them by a dude from Fort Bragg. You got the dude doing the NOLA New Year's Eve attack from Fort Bragg, from the military. You've got the dude doing the Cybertruck attack with Fort Bragg's connections, active military member, supposedly. And I have so many questions about that one still, man. I almost don't want to talk about it too much because I feel like I'm going to like say something I shouldn't or some shit. And now we've got a military helicopter just crashing into a passenger plane. like less than a minute before it's about to land, guys. Imagine you're about to land in Miami for fucking spring break. You're 30 seconds from touching ground and going and having a glass of champagne with your fucking crew, yo. Like, I can't. Oh, man. What a fucked up way to. Holy shit, man. And, like, I see how people are, like, politicizing this and spinning it. I don't see how this is, like. What is political about this to me is the fact that a military helicopter hit a passenger plane. And if you really want to get political about this, like, all the people that are working these jobs right now were most likely implemented by the Biden administration, right? Like, and like I said, like, these executive orders Trump signed, it's like, it's not like they're rehiring an entire industry and retraining them overnight. This stuff takes probably months. So, if not longer. So, one other thing I was going to touch on after all that from some news today, and again, rest in peace to all those victims. I don't even know what to say, because it's like, who am I even talking to? Not one person survived. It's so awful. It's fucked, bro. And there's so many different angles. I mean, there's Army helicopter pilots that think that based on what they've seen, it was likely the Black Hawk pilots confirming visuals on the wrong aircraft, because I believe there was a second or a third aircraft that was like a bunch higher or whatever. But, I mean, training on the path of an active approach to runway is bananas. How the fuck is that even happening? It seems so deliberate to... I don't know. I'm going full schizo conspiracy now. But the one other thing I wanted to touch on, unrelated to this specific incident, was about Kash Patel and Tulsi Gabbard's confirmation hearings today. Some of that was fucking political entertainment gold. And I like Kash Patel's demeanor a lot. I haven't studied him to the core to know, exactly everything that's going on with him or has gone on with him. And I know he's like a loyalist to some degree to Trump or whatever, and that's fine, whatever. But he's a pretty badass dude. Like, he's going in this hearing, and it's funny, man. He did this interview with, I think, Glenn Beck in like September 2024. Kash Patel did, and he was talking about how day one when I get in. He's talking about day one when I get in, I'm getting rid of dismantling half the FBI and turning it into a deep state museum for the public. And they during this hearing today, they like held up one of his books, and I'm like, it was called like Government Gangsters or something. I'm like, yo, I want to go read this shit now. Like, you're like giving this dude free promo. And I literally respond, they're grilling him about the deep state museum comment too during the hearing, and I'm just posting on X. I'm like, yo, where are the pre-sale tickets for this museum at? Like, I'm trying to go, dude. But let me just play y'all a clip of, like, let me find a funny clip for y'all real quick of this dude just like, it's so funny because these Democrat / boomers / like narcissist older people that are grilling him are literally asking him these questions, like yelling in his face, and like demanding that he answer on their script that they're asking for. And then he like gives them the exact sentence they're looking for, and they still just emotionally capitulate and like lose their fucking mind because they're just like not in total control of this guy. It's fucking hilarious. Tulsi Gabbard too. There was one where they tried to claim today that Tulsi Gabbard's like a fucking Russian asset. It's like a 70-year-old woman saying this to her. And she literally just looks at her and she goes, no. And it's an absurd accusation. Next. It's like, like we legit have like a bunch of ancient dinosaur boomer narcissists just trying to keep the whole entire country down with a whole bunch of fucking horse shit. So give me 1 second. Let me find you guys a funny one. And I know stuff like this is, a lot of it can potentially be theater. I don't necessarily think these type of heated arguments are full-blown theater, but I do think it's fucking entertaining and hilarious, this type of shit. So hopefully you guys can hear this. I'll play some snippets.
Did you say that the FBI headquarters should be shut down and reopened as a museum of the deep state?
Mr. Chairman, are we allowed to go an extra time?
Let's see, you get a second round. Before I call on Senator Lee...
Could he just answer the question if he said that the FBI headquarters, where they investigate cybercrime and terrorism, should be shut down and opened as a deep state?
Hey, Mr. Chair.
As a museum. Did he say that the headquarters should be shut down?
Mr. Chair.
I deserve an answer to that question. And he said that their headquarters should be shut down.
Mr. Chair, parliamentary inquiry.
You got anything you want to say, Mr. Patel, before I go on to Senator Lee?
Simply this. If the best attacks on me are going to be false accusations and grotesque mischaracterizations, the only thing this body is doing is defeating the credibility of the men and women at the FBI. I stood with them here in this country. In every theater of war we have, I was on the ground in service of this nation. And any accusations leveled against me that I would somehow put political bias before the Constitution are grotesquely unfair. And I will have you reminded that I have been endorsed by over 300,000 law enforcement officers.
So he didn't really exactly directly answer the question, but he still bodied her. But and he did say the Deep State Museum thing, but it's like, okay, first of all, like, who the fuck cares if he said that? And second of all, the people that he's arguing with are very visibly attempting to just waste time and resources, and this man is visibly about business, and they're just dicking him around with fucking nonsense. It's idiotic. Just also, like, notice the demeanor difference and the composure difference between Kash Patel and the other person yelling, Amy Klobuchar. Just listen to the demeanor difference here.
Officers to become the next director of the FBI. Let's ask them.
Mr. Chairman, I am quoting his own words from September of 2024.
She's about to cry.
His own words. It is not some conspiracy. It is what Mr. Patel actually said himself. Facts matter.
Yes, he said he wants to dismantle the bullshit in the FBI that's fucking everything up, and he wants to create a deep state museum out of it. And I personally would like to get pre-sale tickets, VIP, to this deep state museum the minute it opens. So keep fucking crying about it.
Forget that you had 3 minutes in the next round to say what.
And then this fucking like 99-year-old chairman's bitching at her. This whole shit is such a stupid joke, dude. Oh my lord. Okay, so this is my favorite part, and then I'm probably going to be pretty much done. But this one is like meant for a meme. So just listen to this. This dude's a G, man. I fuck with this guy.
The rest of the interview. This is why snippets of information are often misleading and detrimental to this committee's advice and consent process.
If you consent, I would love to have 5 hours of questions, and then I could read the whole transcript.
You've got 2 minutes.
Wow.
You got 2 minutes, bitch. Figure it the fuck out ASAP, because we ain't got time for you fucking dinosaurs no more, bruh. The dinosaurs are over. Get out. Get the fuck out of there, dude. I love that guy. I fuck with that guy, man. Boss dog back in town, yo. Push these motherfuckers around for real. But all right, y'all. With that, I'm about to get out of here. The dinosaurs are over. They're ancient and extinct now, so let's get rid of them. And yeah, man, that's all I got to say for tonight's episode. I hope you enjoyed my crazy personal deep dive thought process, stream of conscious stuff into these random topics. Feel free to leave a review on the episode, rate the episode on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, YouTube, wherever you watch or consume this. If you do, feel free to message me about it, have a conversation with me about the topics I'm talking about, critique me, correct me on something I'm incorrect about. Feel free. I don't mind at all. Follow me on Instagram at k.jachimowicz. Follow my YouTube at k.jachimowicz. Follow me on X at k.jachimowicz. Like I said, I think I'm going to try to start doing like some sort of like actual reporting or writing on there, and I might verify and everything. So that's the end of episode 15, guys. Have a good night. Until next time.